Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking about the interchangeability of social media platforms. Now, this is just a fancy way of saying how someone can have like 8 million subscribers on YouTube and yet only have like 50 or 100 likes on Facebook, or 20 followers on Vine, or 300 followers or 3,000 on Twitter. It just is mind-boggling, and I see it all the time. YouTube.com/whatever is a great example. It's a great channel, great YouTube, and yet almost every video it advertises in the description, oh, check out my Twitter, check out my Vine, check out my Facebook. And for someone who has so many subscribers, it only has like 300 followers on Vine. And it's just like something's going wrong here. Something's not working. And I'm here to explain to you from my observations of thousands of channels, thousands of personalities on different platforms, from Vine to Twitter to Instagram to Facebook pages to YouTube, what is going on and why these things happen. And also, I forgot to mention Google Plus as well. So I see it all the time, especially with all those YouTube channels with under 100,000 subscribers, or 200,000, 300,000, in the 100,000 mark, and many above 50,000 as well. Technically everything along the range. Anything under 1 million subscribers on YouTube, generally when you check out their other social media, it's usually pretty crappy. I mean, there's a few exceptions, but like you will see, like I recently was on this channel called the Rice Man. It's an Asian man who's kind of like fresh off the boat, who does pranks. It's quite entertaining. And guess what happens? This guy has about 60,000 subscribers right now on YouTube, and he has like less than 100 likes on Facebook. And this constantly happens. I experience it myself on my platforms, and there's really only two big explanations from all the observations I've seen. And again, these are taken from different sources. So I've studied people who have gotten very successful starting on Vine and translated it. And then other people who have started on Twitter, started on Facebook, started on YouTube, and so on, and Google Plus as well. But whatever. Anyhow, here's what usually has to happen. Here's the first thing that can make or break this translation. Does your other platforms have a self-sustainability? Now, what does this mean? Basically, if I didn't know about your other channels, other platforms, I didn't know about your YouTube, your Facebook, or your Twitter, and I come upon your Vine, which is secondary, will I get enough value from it to actually want to follow you, not knowing that you have a prank channel on YouTube with 5 million subscribers? Most likely not. I mean, you will see it 99% of the time. Most of the time, their other platforms are pure crap, and they're all based on promoting their main platform. Now again, you can make it work this way, but I'll get to that later. But this is one method that explains quite a lot of what's going on. If you have a level of self-sustainability where you're actually providing value on different platforms to the point where people are like, oh my goodness, I don't know about this guy, I'm going to follow this man because he's bringing tremendous value in entertainment. It's usually entertainment, or knowledge of some sort on these other channels. And that's one thing a lot of people don't understand. Different social media platforms are different. So on a Vine that's only 6 seconds long maximum, you are not going to provide exceptional educational value through that 6 seconds. I mean, it can be done. There's like 1 or 2 channels where it's not even a video. They just post up interesting facts in text form for 6 seconds, and that achieved quite a lot of success. It got hundreds of thousands of followers. But generally, you have to kind of adapt to the platform and understand that. And so you have to realize I need to provide value in this new platform based on how the platform functions. And a lot of people don't do that. So you'll check out their other platforms. Let's say they started on YouTube and made it big on YouTube, and then they did all this other stuff, Twitter, Facebook, and so forth. And what you'll usually find is like they'll have very few followers on there, maybe even 10,000, which still pales in comparison to the millions they have on YouTube. And you see what they're posting on there, and Vine's like the most atrocious example. It'll just be like the weirdest things, like it doesn't even make sense. It's like a 6-second video of them just like running around. The caption underneath makes no sense of what the 6-second video is about, and the whole thing is just a complete mess of horrible shit. I didn't want to say shit, but I couldn't think of another word. And you can tell like the theme is tied to the YouTube channel, but it's not going to work. Now I'm going to do a whole nother video on whether it's worth it to create all these other platforms when you have a money maker or a channel that's really doing well initially. So that's the first thing. And let me tell you, there's also the flip side to a story where literally you have these personality-based channels, and you realize because of the brand or personality on my main channel, whether it's a YouTube channel you started out on or whatever it is, you cannot really create other platforms that are truly self-sustainable to the point where people can just see it and go, oh, that's an interesting guy. I like this Facebook page. I'm just going to follow it. It's going to be great. And you want it tied to your main channel in some way just because of the theme or whatever content you're running. If it's a prank channel, I mean, you don't want to just post random things on there. It's probably going to be tied to your main channel, and then you may post prank related stuff, maybe your own pranks on there. And so because of that, you will get channels like PewDiePie, which is a great example. He has about 36 million subscribers right now, and he has a Facebook page and a Twitter, and these are essentially immediately tied to the main thing. People go on to the other platforms specifically to follow this man because they know he makes video game videos on YouTube. And so for someone like this, you have to sort of tie everything together. And if you're in that camp, then you really just want to create as much value in each of those platforms, knowing that it's tied to the big channel, the big platform, in this case YouTube. And then you just have to accentuate it and work on it. And oftentimes if you're small, you're just going to have to accept the fact that, hey, not much I can do. There's certain methods and tactics to accentuate all these channels and platforms, but everything's going to be tied to my YouTube. Now, it's funny because sometimes it can work, and it's sometimes very helpful because with these other platforms, you see people like certain platforms more than others. There are people who prefer to only go on Facebook or rarely go on other networks unless Facebook itself takes you off. Same thing with Twitter, Google Plus, and so forth. And so you will have these personalities or brands or companies with varying levels of followings on all these different platforms out there. And it's because of certain things like engagement, the content you put out, as well as the fact that, hey, based on what you produce, the people who like that sort of stuff tend to be on certain platforms like Pinterest or Facebook. And so, long story short, you're probably going to find people who didn't know about you before. They're going to find you through these new platforms because you have been putting out content, and because of the nature of the platform, which allows for virality and just the sharing of amazing